The digital landscape has transformed into a vast, uncharted wilderness where the boundaries between public discourse and coordinated psychological warfare have completely blurred. In this modern arena of connected screens and instantaneous communication, information is no longer just a neutral medium for exchange, but a highly potent currency, capable of shaping global perceptions, destroying reputations, and altering the course of real-world lives within a matter of clicks. Every single day, billions of human beings navigate through an invisible web of algorithms, notifications, and micro-blogging platforms, rarely pausing to consider the silent forces that orchestrate exactly what they see, what they love, and what they are conditioned to despise. While the internet was originally conceived as a grand democratic equalizer designed to connect minds across oceans and foster cross-cultural understanding, it has increasingly evolved into an unpredictable battleground where invisible actors wield massive influence behind the protective mask of anonymity. Among the countless arenas where this online friction manifests, none has proven quite as volatile, unrelenting, or intensely polarized as the digital space surrounding the contemporary British monarchy and its most controversial global figures. The intense fascination with royal life is certainly nothing new, stretching back through centuries of public intrigue, media sensationalism, and tabloid obsession. But the transition of this scrutiny into the hyper-charged realm of social media has fundamentally rewired the entire dynamic. Within this hyper-connected ecosystem, a seemingly organic wave of public opinion can be manufactured out of absolute nothingness, spreading like wildfire across timelines until it hardens into what the average user accepts as an undeniable collective consensus. It is beneath this surface-level reality that a much deeper, far more calculated phenomenon has quietly taken root, transforming standard celebrity gossip into an intricate, industrialized campaign of target-driven hostility that defies conventional explanation. As viewers who appreciate deep investigative dives into the hidden mechanics of modern media culture, taking a brief moment to subscribe to this channel ensures you never miss the complex breakdowns of stories that shape our global discourse. The true nature of these digital operations frequently remains completely hidden from the casual observer who merely scrolls through their daily feed, reading sporadic comments and assuming they represent the authentic, fragmented thoughts of isolated individuals scattered across the globe. However, when one begins to zoom out and meticulously track the precise timing, repeating linguistic patterns, and interconnected networks of these seemingly random accounts, a remarkably different picture emerges. The illusion of a chaotic, disorganized crowd of critics quickly gives way to the chilling realization that what appears to be a spontaneous public outcry is in fact a highly structured, meticulously timed symphony of targeted degradation. This brings us directly to the bizarre and highly sophisticated digital campaign that has recently been uncovered targeting the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, on a scale that has completely caught independent internet researchers and seasoned media analysts off guard. For years, the public narrative surrounding the couple has been undeniably turbulent, characterized by high-profile departures, highly publicized interviews, and a continuous tension with traditional media institutions that has kept them at the absolute center of global headlines. Yet, while traditional tabloid critique operates within the visible, legally bound parameters of print and broadcast journalism, this parallel underworld of social media harassment functions in a lawless, algorithmic shadow where accountability is nearly impossible to enforce. The sheer volume of negative commentary, vitriol, and targeted harassment directed at the couple on platforms like Twitter has long transcended the boundaries of normal public disagreement or standard celebrity critique, pointing instead toward a much more deliberate and organized effort to dominate the digital conversation. When independent investigators began looking into the specific anatomy of this online hostility, they did not just find an unorganized community of passionate critics. Rather, they stumbled upon a highly coordinated, multi-layered network of accounts working in absolute lockstep to amplify specific negative narratives and suppress any form of positive engagement. The sophistication of this apparatus suggests a level of planning and execution that completely mimics professional public relations manipulation, raising profound and deeply unsettling questions about who is truly driving the narrative and what kind of invisible infrastructure supports such an extensive operation. The deeper analysts dug into the metadata and posting schedules of the primary accounts driving this anti-Sussex rhetoric, the more the conventional explanations of simple online trolling began to completely fall apart, revealing an ecosystem that operates with the cold precision of a corporate marketing campaign. It is a world where hashtags are weaponized like strategic assets, where coordinated groups of users deploy highly specific linguistic triggers to manipulate trending algorithms, and where any independent voice attempting to question the validity of the narrative is immediately swarmed and silenced. This coordinated effort does not merely exist to express an opinion, it functions to actively manufacture a hostile digital environment, creating an artificial echo chamber so loud and pervasive that it eventually spills over into mainstream media reporting, effectively legitimizing the coordinated hostility. As this investigation unfolds, it exposes the terrifying vulnerability of our shared digital town square, illustrating how easily public perception can be hijacked, steered, and completely distorted by a dedicated group of anonymous actors operating from the dark corners of the web. The discovery of this targeted campaign marks a critical turning point in our understanding of online influence, shifting the conversation away from standard cyberbullying and directly into the realm of organized behavioral manipulation that threatens the fabric of digital discourse itself. What makes this specific situation so uniquely compelling and deeply alarming is not merely the status of the individuals being targeted, but the complex underlying blueprint of the campaign itself, which could easily be deployed against anyone who finds themselves in the crosshairs of these invisible networks. By peeling back the initial layers of this digital phenomenon, researchers have opened a Pandora's box of modern media dynamics, forcing us to look past the surface of our daily feeds and confront the engineered reality that dictates how we perceive fame, conflict, and human character in the digital age. The stage is now set for an unprecedented look into the mechanical heart of this online operation, where data scientists and investigative journalists are currently tracking the digital footprints of an invisible army, preparing to reveal exactly how a highly organized group of accounts managed to turn a social media platform into a sophisticated weapon of personal destruction. The mechanical architecture of this digital campaign becomes visible only when you dissect the specific data points, account life cycles, and structural anomalies that separate automated or highly coordinated activity from organic human behavior. When independent information security experts and digital forensic analysts began harvesting millions of tweets mentioning the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they expected to find a typical bell curve of public sentiment, which usually includes a mix of passionate supporters, casual observers, and vocal detractors. Instead, the data visualization models produced an entirely unprecedented cluster map, showing a highly concentrated, hyperactive nucleus of accounts that produced an overwhelming majority of the total negative content circulating across the global platform. This small but incredibly powerful network operated as a highly efficient content factory, generating thousands of carefully targeted tweets, retweets, and direct replies every single day with a level of consistency that defies normal human limitations. The sheer mathematical impossibility of a handful of individuals maintaining such an unrelenting, around-the-clock posting schedule immediately alerted researchers that they were dealing with something far more sophisticated than isolated instances of internet trolling. To determine whether these profiles were operated by authentic individuals, sophisticated automated bots, or coordinated human networks known as cyborg accounts, investigators had to look deeply into the behavioral fingerprints left behind in the platform metadata. True automated bots are typically characterized by instantaneous response times, alphanumeric usernames, a complete lack of original personal content, and the repetitive sharing of identical links or phrases across hundreds of accounts simultaneously. While some elements of this primitive automation were certainly detected within the anti-Sussex network, the true backbone of the campaign consisted of highly curated accounts that exhibited a complex combination of automated efficiency and genuine human oversight. These coordinated networks are particularly dangerous because they are specifically designed to bypass standard platform detection algorithms by occasionally engaging in normal human behaviors, such as discussing local weather, commenting on popular television shows, or sharing seemingly random personal anecdotes. Once these accounts have successfully established a veneer of digital authenticity, they seamlessly pivot back to their primary objective, unleashing an absolute torrent of coordinated hostility, manufactured outrage, and highly repetitive talking points designed to dominate specific hashtags and trending topics. The structural cohesion of this network was so tight that whenever a positive news story, a charitable initiative, or a public appearance by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle was announced, the entire apparatus would activate within minutes, flooding the platform with pre-fabricated negative narratives to immediately neutralize any favorable public reception. The tension within this digital ecosystem escalated dramatically when independent researchers decided to step out of the shadows and publicly publish their initial findings regarding the coordinated nature of these attacks. Christopher Boozy, a prominent information security veteran and the founder of a dedicated social media analytics platform designed to track disinformation, became a central target of the very apparatus he was attempting to expose. The moment his firm released a comprehensive data report demonstrating that a remarkably small percentage of highly interconnected accounts was responsible for driving over 70% of the targeted hate speech against Meghan Markle, the entire digital mob instantly turned its sights directly on him. This sudden shift in targeting provided a flawless, real-time demonstration of the network's aggressive capabilities, as Bowsy was immediately subjected to an intense, multi-front campaign of personal character assassination, digital defacement, and coordinated reporting aimed at getting his professional accounts permanently suspended. The attacks against an independent investigator were not merely random expressions of anger, they were calculated, strategic maneuvers intended to destroy his credibility, drain his financial resources through bad faith digital disruptions, and send a chilling warning to any other data scientists or journalists considering looking into the operational mechanics of this network. For Bowsy and his team, navigating this level of online hostility became an exhausting, everyday professional reality, transforming a standard data analysis project into a high-stakes conflict against a relentless and invisible adversary. The complete inversion of logic within this scenario was absolute, as an independent researcher found himself being aggressively hounded, harassed, and personally threatened simply because he utilized empirical data to investigate why another individual was receiving an unprecedented wave of coordinated online hatred. This circular pattern of aggression revealed a deeply disturbing truth about the modern digital ecosystem. demonstrating that the architectural mechanics of coordinated harassment networks are fundamentally designed to protect themselves by totally destroying anyone who attempts to shine a light on their structural internal operations. One of the most deeply unsettling and genuinely bizarre aspects of this entire digital campaign is the total absence of a conventional, easily identifiable commercial or geopolitical motive behind the massive expenditure of time, effort, and coordination. In typical online disinformation campaigns, analysts can easily trace the activity back to a specific state-sponsored entity seeking to disrupt a foreign election, or perhaps a corporate public relations firm attempting to systematically destroy a commercial competitor for financial gain. In this particular instance, however, the traditional frameworks of analysis completely break down because the overarching goal of the apparatus appears to begin and end with pure, unadulterated personal destruction and the systematic erosion of human dignity. There is no visible product being sold, no specific political candidate being endorsed, and no tangible legislative agenda being pushed by these accounts instead. The entire multi-layered infrastructure exists solely to cultivate an unyielding atmosphere of hyper-focused cruelty and public humiliation. This lack of an obvious rational motive forces psychological experts and digital sociologists into a realm of deep speculation, where they must examine the dark underlying impulses that drive human behavior within anonymous digital spaces. Some experts suggest that the campaign functions as a highly modern, digital iteration of the classic scapegoat mechanism, where deeply fragmented groups of users anchor their collective anxieties, personal frustrations, and societal resentments onto a highly visible, polarizing public figure who represents a complete break from traditional institutional norms. Others point toward a more sinister reality, where the campaign may serve as a highly sophisticated testing ground for behavioral modification algorithms, allowing invisible architects to refine their methods of public manipulation on a global scale before deploying them in high-stakes political or socioeconomic arenas. Regardless of the ultimate psychological or hidden structural drivers, the immediate real-world impact of this unrelenting digital assault is profoundly damaging, creating a highly toxic template for public discourse that can easily be adapted and deployed against any private citizen or public figure who deviates from a prescribed narrative. The sheer volume of constant psychological pressure generated by this digital apparatus is intentionally designed to be totally overwhelming, wearing down the target's psychological resilience until they are effectively erased from the digital town square. As investigators continued to map out the intricate connections between these hyperactive accounts, they discovered that the network was not merely passive but highly adaptive, continuously altering its tactics, linguistic patterns, and evasion techniques to stay precisely one step ahead of the social media platforms' safety teams and trust algorithms. The escalating complexity of this online warfare highlights the profound limitations of modern digital platforms to adequately police themselves, revealing how easily a dedicated, highly organized minority can completely hijack public perception, drown out authentic human voices, and weaponize the very algorithms that were originally built to bring the world closer together. To truly comprehend the profound societal implications of this unprecedented digital campaign, one must fully step away from the immediate chaos of the social media timeline and examine the real-world trajectories, backgrounds, and systemic vulnerabilities of the human beings at the absolute center of this algorithmic storm. The Duchess of Sussex, formerly Meghan Markle, entered the global spotlight not merely as a newcomer to the traditional structures of the British monarchy, but as a highly accomplished, independently successful American woman who possessed an extensive professional history long before her marriage. Born and raised in the complex cultural tapestry of Los Angeles, California, she cultivated a deep passion for communications, international relations, and theatrical arts, eventually graduating from Northwestern University with a specialized double major in theater and international studies. This unique academic foundation led her into the challenging world of professional acting, where she spent years navigating the intense industry before securing a defining multi-season starring role on an internationally acclaimed television drama series based in Toronto. Alongside her creative pursuits, she actively established herself as an outspoken global advocate for gender equality and social justice, collaborating directly with major international organizations such as the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women and World Vision. When her relationship with Prince Harry was thrust into the international media spotlight, this distinct background as a self-made, biracial, politically articulate foreigner fundamentally collided with the deeply entrenched, centuries-old traditions and unspoken expectations of the institutional British press corps. This fundamental cultural and structural clash provided the primary ideological fuel that was later harvested, refined, and industrialized by the coordinated online harassment networks we have uncovered. Prince Harry's own lifelong trajectory is permanently marked by the profound, highly publicized trauma of losing his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, under the relentless flashing lights of chasing paparazzi in a Paris underpass in 1997. This definitive childhood tragedy deeply shaped his fundamental perspective on the media, instilling an intense, permanent determination to fiercely protect his immediate family from the very same intrusive forces that he deeply believes directly contributed to his mother's untimely death. His decade of dedicated service within the British Armed Forces, which included 2 highly dangerous operational deployments to active combat zones in Afghanistan, further forged a resilient, fiercely independent character that frequently placed him at direct odds with the passive, media compliance strategy traditionally favored by the royal household's public relations machinery. The couple's historic, unprecedented decision in early 2020 to formally step back from their roles as senior working royals and permanently relocate across the Atlantic Ocean was explicitly framed as a direct, necessary escape from an unendurable combination of intense tabloid intrusion and a total lack of structural support from the institutional family framework. However, instead of providing the peaceful distance they so desperately sought, this geographical relocation merely catalyzed the total transition of their public narrative away from traditional print journalism and directly into the lawless, hyper-accelerated underworld of weaponized digital networks. The systemic importance of this specific online campaign extends far beyond the personal borders of the British royal family, serving as an ominous, highly advanced template for how public perception can be completely manipulated in the modern age. What independent researchers discovered when they fully deconstructed the anti-Sussex network was a deeply alarming structural reality: the very same digital blueprints, automated distribution mechanisms, and linguistic manipulation tactics utilized to systematically degrade the Duchess of Sussex are identical to those deployed in high-stakes geopolitical disinformation campaigns designed to disrupt democratic elections, manipulate financial markets, and destabilize public trust in vital international institutions. The chilling effectiveness of this apparatus relies entirely on its ability to completely blend artificial, coordinated activity with authentic human emotion, effectively tricksing the platform's core recommendation algorithms into believing that a massive, organic public consensus exists where there is actually only an engineered illusion. By artificially amplifying specific negative keywords and manufactured controversies, these networks successfully force mainstream media outlets into covering the online outrage, creating a highly toxic feedback loop that continuously validates and normalizes targeted public hatred. This modern phenomenon fundamentally redefines the nature of public life, demonstrating that anyone who challenges established institutional narratives or occupies a highly visible cultural position can be instantly targeted by a completely invisible, unaccountable army capable of thoroughly poisoning their reputation on a global scale. The ongoing efforts by independent data analysts, investigative journalists, and digital rights advocacy organizations to continually map, expose, and challenge these covert manipulation networks represent a critical battle for the very future of our shared digital town square. As society becomes increasingly reliant on social media platforms for primary news consumption and democratic debate, the total failure to actively regulate and dismantle these coordinated harassment engines poses a profound threat to the integrity of public discourse itself. The story of the orchestrated digital campaign against Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is ultimately not just a story